Hi guys, welcome back to Cornerstone Chats. I can't believe that we're already on the letter R.
Ooh.
But today we're going to be talking about readiness. And I think Robert's going to start us off and give us a nice maybe Bible verse, maybe cover a few points. And then I'll kind of wrap us up and, give us the social media links and stuff like that. So take it away.
Okay, so this is kind of in relation to last week because we were talking about questioning. If you've not watched it, you can go back and watch it. One of the questions that most people ask is, when is Christ returning? When is he coming back?
Yeah.
And they try and select a day, or they say it's, if you look in the news, there's tons and tons of times where people are like, today's the day. But in the Bible, it tells us in Mark 13, 32 to 33, it says this: "However, no one knows the day or hour when these things will happen, not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself. Only the Father knows. And since you don't know when the time will come, be on guard, stay alert." So I think the first thing for this, in terms of readiness, because it's readiness for Christ returning, that's the focus of this video, is first off, be content.
Yeah.
Know that there's going to be uncertainties, and we spoke about that briefly at the end of our last video, where there's going to be some things that we won't know the answer to, and this is one of them. We won't know when Christ is returning, and we really need to be content with that, knowing that it will happen at some point. It could be today, it could be a week from now, years from now. We just have to be really content with the fact that it will happen at some point. And I think the other bit of the verse that unpacks that is, it tells us to be on guard and stay alert. And I think that's very true, because if we look at the news in terms of Christ returning, and many people claiming to be Jesus, many people saying today's the day, the rapture is going to happen now, and all these things will happen, is there's going to be a lot of false prophets. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to make bold and untrue claims of when Christ is returning, because it tells us here only the Father knows, only God knows. So we need to be content, but we also need to be discerning, realizing this is true, this isn't. And the only way to properly discern is opening up your word and seeing exactly what it says. Knowing it, testing it. And we said that in relation to last week with we're questioning everything. We need to be in our scriptures, and if we don't know it and don't understand our scriptures, go to someone who does know their scriptures so they can help you with an answer. So I think when we're talking about readiness for Christ returning, be content that he is coming, be content with that, and be on guard, be discerning, because there's going to be a lot of false people who tell us loads of information and overwhelm us. Is there anything you'd like to add, Ashlyn?
I think the only thing that I really would like to do is just kind of expand on what you mean by, be ready, because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But what we're talking about in being ready is having an open and honest relationship with God, being in prayer, being in worship, being in fellowship, making sure that you've got that real strong connection, because, when Jesus comes back and say you're living a life in sin because you're like, oh, Jesus won't come back forever, that's not being ready, that's not being alert, that's being lazy, So we're told to be ready, to be on guard. We must be ready for his return every day of our lives. And, for the sake of discussion, he might come tomorrow, or he might never come in our lifetime, but we will never know that. So we have to live our lives for as long as being ready, being on guard, being a part of a church, worshipping daily, being in fellowship as much as we can, and having that really solid foundation and that really, really solid, relationship with God, so that we can be ready, and so we know the signs of him coming back, because we're told of loads and loads and loads of different things that'll happen as his return is coming, and if we're not in our Bible and we don't know our word, then how are we going to know that?
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think as well we can become impatient
Yeah.
with it because it's a long time, and we'll start to lose hope because we'll look at this world and go, my gosh, it's getting darker, things are giving me anxiety or worry, he's not going to return, and we start to lose hope.
Yeah.
And Ashlyn said something there about being in church and fellowship, because that's important, because though you might start to lose hope, someone else in your congregation, someone else in your fellowship might not be.
Yeah.
And they're there and they'll come alongside you and they will encourage you. That's fellowship's there to build us up, to encourage us. And if you're losing hope in that area of your life and you're lacking that segment, then that person can come along and help you with it and realize that yes, this, you may be feeling this, but that will pass.
Yeah.
Be in your word, draw closer to him and feel his presence. So I think when we're talking about readiness, being ready, live your life as if it was today. Like, would you be happy with your actions
if
Jesus came today?
Yeah.
And I think we often forget that and we put it at the back of our mind, or we check out from that because we live our lives and we go day to day, but we have to remember Christ is coming back. We are here to be representations of Christ. So we're going out telling the world, you need to know Jesus. But if we're living for ourselves, if we're living in the way of the world, then we might not do that.
Yeah.
Actually, we won't do that because we're living for ourselves.
100%.
So I think in terms of readiness, the 4 things that I would leave you with is be content. Know that there's so much uncertainty over it. Have hope with it. I know that it's with the unknowns, we don't know how long it's going to happen. The world's getting scarier or worrying you, so don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Find ways to encourage yourself through your word, through worship, through fellowship, and be discerning. Test everything, question it all. And that relates to the video from last week.
Yeah.
So with that, if you do have any questions about Christ returning, his second coming, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. At this very moment, our youth group, we're going through Revelation, so it's very much there for us. We're studying it so we can help that way. So yes, reach out to us on our social medias. Comment on the underneath here. We'll get forward to you and we'll be praying for you. And with that, make good choices, be kind, and I hope that you guys are having the great Christmas season already.
Right.
Bye guys.
Bye.